Joining us now is Republican Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas. Senator, it's good to see you this afternoon. Nothing from the White House yet, but the House Financial Services Committee Chairwoman Maxine Waters says she is going to hold hearings on all of this. There's rare bipartisan agreement over the idea of holding hearings. Senator Ted Cruz of Texas and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on the same page as this. Where do you come down on this idea of this David versus Goliath issue that we see here, and whether or not there should be hearings? Does this belong in Congress?
John, I do believe we'll need to have hearings, in particular have hearings on Robinhood and some other outlets shutting down trading for small solo investors yesterday into these stocks, while major institutional investors could continue to trade. These solo investors have really done nothing to some of these major institutional investors that they don't do to each other all the time by a so-called short squeeze of buying stocks that the institutional investors were short on. No surprise, no real news there. But the trades have to be conducted on an equal and fair basis. And solo investors who are making money, sometimes a lot of money, at the expense of these institutional investors shouldn't be shut out of their market, shut down their trades. More fundamentally, we want to make sure that our stock markets reflect the underlying market realities, that they're a way for companies with the good idea to go out and raise money to try to produce that good idea to serve the American people in the marketplace.
But Senator, those average everyday investors that we're talking about, they're being given the opportunity to use very sophisticated derivatives on these retail trading platforms. When you really look at it, which I did this morning because I wasn't completely familiar with it, and I do think that that becomes a problem when lawmakers say something's wrong here. You know, it gets a lot of attention because Main Street thinks, well, Wall Street must be rigged. And then you have lawmakers make big claims like this isn't a level playing field. And I would just put to you, how do you ensure that members of Congress who say there's going to be hearings on this, you know, Sherrod Brown was one of the first ones to come out and say that there's going to be hearings on this, we're going to dig into this. How do you ensure that Wall Street, that our beloved marketplace, our free markets don't get over-regulated by lawmakers that overreact and knee-jerk to situations like this?
Well, Sandra, I don't think we should overreact. We should get to the bottom of what happened over the last week. That doesn't necessarily mean that there's a government response to what happened, but we do need to examine it, especially the closure of trading platforms for some of these solo investors this week. I don't want to jump to conclusions about the matter. I want to ensure that we get to the bottom of what happened and that we have a well-functioning, fair marketplace that is allowing anyone who wants to trade in stocks, and that is helping companies raise the money they need to grow and provide jobs and to provide goods and services in the marketplace. That's the point of hearing. It's not to jump to conclusions. It's not to condemn any one actor in the marketplace.
Senator, there's so many things we want to get to with you today, including President Biden and his executive orders. You say that despite Biden's calls for unity, he has, quote, no regard for hardworking blue-collar Americans and their jobs. He's been particularly prolific with executive orders, and you have signed on to a bill from Wyoming Senator Cynthia Lummis, which would require Congress to at least sign off on this ban on oil and gas drilling on federal lands. Has President Biden gone too far with the executive pen?
Yeah, John, he's gone way too far in some of these executive orders. Look, he preached unity last Wednesday from the inaugural platform, but why don't we go ask some of those 11,000 blue-collar workers on the Keystone Pipeline if they think it was unifying to cancel their jobs, or what they think about John Kerry telling them that they need to make better choices about their jobs in the future. And for that matter, Senator Lummis's bill that has addressing the ban on all new oil and gas exploration on federal lands. We don't have a lot of that in Arkansas, but you know what we do have? We have a lot of people that need to drive pickup trucks or tractors on their farm that need access to gasoline and to diesel. And I'd hate to see us hamstring ourselves when we've just achieved energy independence while also killing hundreds of thousands of jobs in the oil and gas production sector.
You know, but people are going to look at his use of the pen and say elections have consequences, right? He won the election, and Democrats gained control in the Senate. And I would ask you, perhaps not that did he go too far with his use of the pen, but has he lurched as far to the left with these executive orders and action as you may have predicted? Or do you believe the progressives in his party are pushing him further?
I think he has lurched very far to the left, Sandra. I mean, he said during the campaign he was not going to ban fracking. Now that's exactly what he's done on public lands. He said in the campaign he was going to enforce immigration laws. I predicted at the time that there would be a surge of migrants coming to our border if Joe Biden won. That's exactly what happened because of some of his immigration executive orders. I could go on and on about the leftward lurch. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't even further more liberal members of the Democratic Party are going to push him further, but it's gone pretty far right now. I think anybody who works in the Keystone Pipeline would tell you that.